Thanks for joining us on this episode of Beyond the Bounce, presented by ZTE. My special guest today, none other than Texas Legends broadcast host and morning radio talk show host on 105.3 The Fan, Mr. RJ Choppy. Welcome to the show, RJ.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, you've lived a different existence than some, in that you have a passion for sports and sports media and for the Texas Legends. Where'd that come from?
Oh, gosh. I don't even know where to start. Like the media aspect, I was never, a lot of people know that get into the media that this is what they wanted to do when they were 12. I was 22. I still had no idea. And I was done playing golf. I was done playing baseball. I was like, I don't know what to do. I was bad at math in college, so I just kind of fell into speech communication, and then I interned, and one thing led to another. I love sports. I always did. And all of a sudden I got internships and kind of just worked around and kind of worked my way up, got some lucky breaks. That's the key, I get lucky. And then that's where I am. Found out about the Legends before the season started, that first year. And it was one of the best meetings I ever had. I had it right over here, right across the street at the hotel, and I'll never forget it.
So RJ got lucky at the hotel across the street.
Got lucky at the hotel.
Got himself a gig 5.5 seasons ago here with the Legends. And as that evolved, the broadcast itself kind of took on some of your DNA, some of your personality, beginning with several calls that have become viral, internet sensations. Folks may not remember, but going back, it was a random assortment of fruits and vegetables at one point. It was a M&M line, Mom's Spaghetti from 8 Mile.
Mom's Spaghetti started it all.
That was massive.
That
was massive. But what was the genesis of Mom's Spaghetti, of this entire concept?
The first couple of years, we did nothing like this. We just did a regular basketball call. And we hadn't, because the NBA DLeague, the way they broadcasted it was still changing. It was evolving. It was on YouTube, and then we got on the TV, and then it was just radio before, but then it became split, radio and TV broadcasts. We had two separate broadcasts. So the whole thing evolved. And on my radio show on 105.3 The Fan, we used to do a segment called Yo Roger Raps. And Babe Laufenberg from Channel 11 did Eminem's Lose Yourself. And on the outtakes, he started doing some of these calls and some of these sayings in like a heavy metal voice. So one of them was, Mom's Spaghetti! And I'm like, this is so great, this is brilliant. So out of nowhere, there's a fast break, and it was Devin Ebanks. I'll never forget it. It was a fast break, and I just, for some reason, no idea why, belted out Mom's Spaghetti. I didn't even think of it. Like 3 or 4 weeks go by, and it appears on a blog. Like DLeague announcer references an '01 Eminem song, and I'm like, what? Who's this? Oh my God, that's me. I had no idea it was me. I was looking, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So we just started to evolve this, and on the radio show, they started to pick out like little words to say. I'd pick them out of a hat.
Rutabaga, I think, was that second one that came
Arugula was a good one. So I'd pick things out of a hat, and my catchphrase at the time were "Shiver Me Timbers" or whatever it was. And then after I pick them out of the hat, we just started to go with themes. And now I'll be honest, we're running out of ideas. So we're gonna have to get more specific as the time moves on. So instead of doing pop songs from 2015, Taylor Swift pop songs from 2015, and then we already did Adele.
Yeah. That was a huge hit.
That was a big hit.
Another couple blogs picked up on that one.
Yeah.
Twitter loved it.
Twitter loved it. Star Wars Night was big. So we're going to have to get more specific because we're running out of ideas. We are. We're going to keep this going as long as we can.
So these calls, much like your career, came about just organically and
totally
through
organic.
luck.
Yeah, it's total luck, total organic. Nothing was planned. Nothing in my life is planned anyway. Like in general, like I don't plan. I don't have a day planner. I don't have a calendar. I don't know how to keep a calendar. I can't use the one on my phone. I have no clue what's going on. I forget things. Everything's to memory, and I miss about 40% of my meetings that I'm supposed to be at, or I show up late to them because I can't keep a calendar. So everything's organic in my life, including this.
Well, you do have to keep a calendar as the broadcaster here for the Legends because you got to show up on game days. And some of the things that I've always enjoyed talking with you about have been the players that have cycled through here that you are familiar with, most notably Tennessee basketball players, since you happen to be a proud alum.
Right.
Shout out to Peyton Manning. whether it be Jordan McRae or this year Jarnell Stokes, who's really playing well at the D-League level as an assignment player from the Heat. But what is it like for you to be able to say, as a fan, hey, I know that guy, and just kind of understand where his career is now and where it could potentially go as a basketball player? It's
really cool. I was hoping Josh Richardson would be here, but he's actually playing pretty well with the Heat.
He is.
But it's cool because I follow college basketball as closely, or more closely than a lot of people. Most people don't really follow college hoops anymore. It's kind of gone away. I mean, it's a one and done thing, and I get it. I still love it though. So I follow college basketball pretty closely. So when I see a guy like Xavier Henry come in here, or Marcus Teague come in here. Daniel Wharton was here a couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I feel like, I watch these guys on TV. And, we've got guys on our team, Justin Anderson will roll through here. And, Jamil Wilson, remember him and Marquette. So, there's guys that roll through that you remember. And there's guys on other teams that come through. I was like, gosh, that's cool. That's really, this is a guy that 5 years ago I thought he was destined for stardom. By hook or crook, he's here. Whatever happened, injuries or just, he just didn't develop the way he had hoped for. He's down here. It's great. It's great to be able to call the game.
And so what's different about you compared to several of our guests in the past, those guests have NBA jobs or D-League jobs, and they can't really give their opinion in this regard, but your job is to give opinions in sports. So you mentioned the one and done, right? We all know where those guys typically wind up. They're NBA stars for the most part, or at least up there, and you can keep track of them.
Yeah. Well, they end up at Kentucky.
Well, they do,
that's
for sure. But let's talk three or more. The players who are there through their junior season, their senior season, some of them graduate. A lot of the fans of those collegiate teams don't know where those guys go. And so being here now at the D-League level as a broadcast announcer and having a great show in the mornings on 105.3 The Fan, what is your opinion of those three or more guys and how it relates to the D-League and what ultimately this league could be for the NBA?
I love the guys who stick around. Look, if you're Nerlens Noel.
See you later.
Go ahead.
Go.
Karl Towns. Go ahead. I get it. You're the best player in the country. Go ahead. I'm not worried about that. But the guys who stick around. There was a guy in the league who's really doing well in the NBA. C.J. McCollum. Remember that a couple years ago? He was in the D-League, and I think he was a 4-year player in college, and he stuck around. He stuck through it, and he grew his game. That's what I love about this league is that. These are a lot of times the guys who went 4 years, because let's be real. The one and dones, they're top 10 picks. They don't necessarily come down here unless they get hurt or they get sent down, whatever. But that's why I love this. That's why I love this league is because it's an extension of college basketball. And it really is. It's an extension, and I would love to see guys. I would love to see them put in either you go right away from high school, or if you go to college, you got to stay 3 years. Major League Baseball does that. Mm-hmm. You either go into the draft out of high school, or once you go, it's got to be 3 years. I don't think that's a bad compromise. I think it's better than the current system where just John Calipari just gets a new 5 starting lineup every time.
It's a talented group of young men he has.
It's
a very talented group.
Very talented.
Speaking of talent, 6th season for the Legends with you. What have you seen from a talent perspective in regards to this league's growth and where ultimately it could wind up in the future?
First year. Now, the first year that the Legends were in existence, it wasn't the first year of the D-League, right?
Correct.
So it was still growing. The D-League has grown, though, to the point where you could make the case that outside of the NBA, it's got the most talent. I mean, you got your leagues in Spain and in Greece and some of these other great leagues, but China. But the talent level here has really grown. I've seen it grow to the point where, this is not like watching a minor league anymore. I mean, this is like you're watching major college basketball, and to me that's great. That's what you see guys who can shoot, you see guys who can dunk. There's not a whole. I mean, you have your one-trick ponies, but there's fewer and fewer one-trick ponies every year that I see.
And as this league continues to evolve, and as we approach February 3rd's game, watch this segue, you ready? How can your fans reach out to you and suggest your future calls? Because we're going to wrap up the show with
very
that.
Nice. You go to @RJ Choppy on Twitter. You can find me there, or of course you can find me on Facebook and then send me a message. But absolutely would love to hear some suggestions.
Send them his way. Send them to the Legends account as well. We want to figure out what our game call is going to look like on February 3rd. RJ, thanks for joining us on the podcast here, Beyond the Bounce. And you guys out there watching, appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to check in next week for a new episode of Beyond the Bounce presented by ZTE.